Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of The Whole Nine Yards. It's been 4 months since my last upload, and I apologize for that. I had a bunch of different things pop up and keeping me from putting these out. I'm not giving up. I'd like to make a lot of more videos for you guys on this excellent series of games. And it's an exciting time right now with new products coming out. I have a new one here to show you guys, Wing Leader Origins. So just as a recap for anybody who may not know and didn't watch some of the previous videos, we've got Wing Leader Victories and Wing Leader Supremacy, the two core games in the system. And the first expansion that came out was for the Wing Leader Victories set, Early War, and then we have had Wing Leader Eagles released for Supremacy, an expansion for Supremacy. And in addition, at the same time this one was released, we had an update to the Wing Leader Victories system. It went to 2nd edition, and I picked up the update pack for that. And the rules are now at version 2.2. And from Victories to Supremacy to 2nd edition Victories, it's all the same game. There's not a steep learning curve. There is no learning curve, actually, between systems. It's just the rules are getting more refined, and they have really been improved a lot since 1st edition, but it's still fully playable, Victory's 1st edition. But if you get an opportunity to pick up that 2nd edition upgrade kit, I highly recommend that. The series has really expanded. Loads of different aircraft types, mission types, theaters of the war represented. And now we have a 3rd expansion for the Wing Leader system, Wing Leader Origins, and that brings us back to Early War. It's an expansion for Victories, which we're going to have now 2 expansions for Victories, 1 for Supremacy, and there is a 4th expansion in the works, and I am involved in the playtesting, Wing Leader Legends. It's on P500 on GMT Games, and that one is going to be an expansion for both systems. It's kind of a tying a whole bunch of loose ends as far as aircraft, different theaters, and wanting to bring aircraft from both systems together into some scenarios, and I'm really excited about that one coming out. But let's go ahead and get to the meat and potatoes of this episode. I want to show you the newest expansion. So I'm going to put this aside, and we're going to take a look at what we get with Wing Leader Origins. So here we go. This is how it arrives in the mail. All the expansions came like this. There we go. Wing Leader Origins. Wing Leader expansion number 3. There we have a Polish fighter taking on a Messerschmitt 110 in Poland. That's great artwork. I love the artwork that Antonis Karidis, I think is how you pronounce his name. I really enjoy his artwork, and I'm glad Lee Brimacombe Wood has been using his artwork for this game. It's very, very stunning, and really draws you into what this game represents. So here we go. We have 29 new aircraft, 26 new scenarios. This was a huge expansion. A lot of scenarios here, and then a new campaign system. This is in Blitz and Eagles. Those 2 campaign systems were larger campaigns. This one is a smaller campaign, kind of termed as a mini campaign, but it's a really good one, and I enjoyed playtesting it. So different theaters you're going to see represented in this expansion: China, Spain, Poland, the Civil War before World War II, the Netherlands, Czechoslovakia. These are theaters of operation that, I would say, including myself, most people know little about, but there's some really exciting stuff to be represented here and to learn about. So let's break this open. Let's take a look. All right, well, let me set that aside for now. We'll take this one step at a time. Here's the scenario book with the campaign rules. There we go. So let's take a look inside here. All right, so we start off here with some explanation for the Malta Spitfires mini campaign. So we're looking at really 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, about 8 pages of rules for the mini campaign. And then there is the log sheet that you want to make photocopies of this and record the results of the missions in that mini campaign. We'll talk more about this later. And then here we go with the different scenarios for Wing Leader Origins. Starts off with another Battle of Britain. I'm sorry, not Battle of Britain, Dunkirk. Dunkirk scenario. How cool is that? I remember this was being worked on right at the time when the movie Dunkirk was released, and there's a lot of Dunkirk stuff themed that was being made. So this is a neat one. I got to play test this one. Here we have Poland. We have 1, 2, 3 Polish scenarios. Then we've got some early China versus Japan scenarios. We got 1, 2, 3 of those. And we've got some Czechoslovakia versus Germany scenarios. We got 1, 2 of those, and these are both counterfactual scenarios, kind of what ifs. Neat to see some smaller, some minor powers represented in these games. And then we have some Dutch scenarios. We got 2 of those. And then we have some scenario here with Finland represented, some Finnish aircraft. More Dutch in the Pacific with allies against the Japanese. And then we get to a lot of Spanish Civil War scenarios with the nationalist versus the Republican forces, the Soviet-backed Republic versus the German and Italian-backed national, the socialist rebels. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of those, 8 scenarios in the Spanish Civil War. And then we got some scenarios here at the end that introduce some of the British bombers. This is exciting to see. Wellington, Hampton, Stirling, Manchester as bombers brought in. Good to get some scenarios with British bombers. Here's Japan versus Russia pre-war, the Sino-Japanese War. And then we have a few more, one more Spanish Civil War scenario here at the end. So I think that made 9 scenarios for the Spanish Civil War. How cool is that? And then another, what ADC do I use? An explanation of the different variants and what ADC. And then kind of a Malta campaign setup guide for the different aircraft involved. We'll talk a little more about this here in a little bit. Sequence of play for the Malta Spitfires mini campaign. So there you go. That's what you get in the expansion booklet. let's look at these ADCs. Okay. Here we go. Here are the Polish aircraft. P-11, PZL-23, PZL-37. Fighter, a light bomber, and a medium bomber. Here's a Czech fighter, B-534. Some Soviet early aircraft, the I-15 and the RZ, a light bomber. Some Dutch aircraft. And if you're wondering, this is looks to be the thicker material for the counter sheets. Some of you may have noticed if you picked up Eagle's expansion, they started using a thicker material. Just to kind of compare, here's an ADC from Supremacy. If we pop one of these out, you can see that it's a white core on the earlier releases in the game. It says thicker and not pre-rounded counter sheets for the ADCs. These ones were pre-rounded, but really thick, really heavy quality. It's nice. I like it, and I just use my Oregon Laminations clipper to round the corners, so it's not a big deal. Yeah, so quite a bit thicker on these, but not a problem. I like good quality components. So there we go. Here's the first sheet of ADCs. Let's look at the next. We got a lot of new British bombers. The Wellington, Stirling, Manchester, and Halifax, and the Hampton. Some American fighters, early fighters. Buffalo, CW-21, which is featured in some Chinese scenarios. F2 Goshawk. Here we have Dutch light bomber. Kind of looks like a B-24 Liberator from the side. And then a bunch of German early aircraft. HE-112, an early D-109, HE-51, HE-46, an early HE-111. Quite a obvious difference from the HE-111s you think of when you think Battle of Britain. Dornier 17. Here's a British or Italian medium bomber. Those look great. A lot of these aircraft you'll see featured in the Spanish Civil War. Man, look at all these. There's 5 ADC sheets. Here's ADC sheet 4. Now here's where we start getting into some updated ADCs. Notice this is version 2 of the KI-27, but we got some new aircraft types. KI-30, A5M4, G3M2, Italians, an RE-2001 Falco. We've got an RE-2000 from Blitz, I believe. P-39D Air Cobra. Oh wait, no, this is a version 2. This is an updated ADC, these two right here. And then we get to a whole bunch of updated ADCs here from Blitz. Many of these were in Blitz. These Russian and French aircraft got an update. So these just replace the ones you got in Blitz and other expansions, which I think all these are just updates from Blitz, the ones that are 2.0. So 5 ADC sheets and then 1 counter sheet. Look at all the different paint schemes, very colorful Republican, Spanish Republican paint schemes. Those are really pretty. British bombers, the Dutch, Italians. Here's the nationalist, German nationalist, Spain nationalist markings on the German aircraft. Here's some more Ju-88s and a Malta paint scheme. You're going to see those in the mini campaign. And some Chinese aircraft. There's a new target, Fort, It's used in this expansion, and Malta Spitfires campaign marker. See on the back side, 2 more targets, heavy flak D, another airfield. Just remember, if you ever see this little star in the lower right hand corner, it just means these are the ones that you should be using. If you ever come across duplicates that don't have that star, that means they're from the earlier version. They got updated and they have the newer stats here with the star. So whatever you have with a star, that's what you want to keep. There you go. Oh, they're just falling right out here, and these are thicker compared to, let me pull over a supremacy counter. Okay. Well punched, easily come out, and I look forward to clipping all of those. And here is the play aid, or the map, not really the map, but the status display. That's what it's called, Malta Spitfires. So I guess now that we're here at the end, let me just kind of go over this real quick, because some of you may be wondering how this works. A mini campaign. This is really a neat little campaign. I would say probably my favorite of the 3 so far. This one is short, but there's a lot of really neat planning, opportunities to, I don't know, play with your opponent, try to get him to keep him guessing on what you're going to do. One side takes the Germans and Italian forces. Other player takes the Allied defenders, the British defenders of Malta. And some of you may know that in the Blitz expansion, there was a kind of a mini campaign, 3 linked scenarios for the Malta campaign. So this is just another representation of that. And what you've got is just a turn track up here. It's just 2 days, but there are 8 time slots, 4 for each day. There's a, let me just pop this out. Here's this tracker for tracking the turn. And the British and the Germans get a number of squadrons, units for the campaign. And this is all they get, and that's all they have to work with. And you got to manage these guys throughout the campaign. You take these counters, pull them out, place them in this Allied available and Axis available slots, and then as you, beginning of each day, so the 9th of May and the 10th of May, at the beginning of each of these days, the Germans are going to plan raids, and they can sort their counters, their available squadrons and fighters, mix them together how they want. There's some rules as far as how the Italians and the Germans mix, but you put them in packages, raid packages, and you place them in boxes 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the opponent, the British, will be able to see the stacks. You place the stacks here, but all they can see is the top aircraft in each stack. I think there can be 2 waves. Yeah, there's 2 waves in each raid box. So, you know, the Germans may plan 2 raids, and let me just kind of pop out some counters here. You know, they may have a stack visible, 2 stacks to show that there's going to be 2 waves of aircraft coming in here, but you could have more aircraft stacked underneath each of these stacks. And you get to, the Germans can choose who they want up on top. They can try to spoof the British into thinking, oh, this is just a bomber package, or just fighters and no attached bombers. But they create their stacks, and then they assign one of these boxes for each of the 4 periods of that day. So on a piece of paper, the Germans will record, you know, box 1 is going to be for the 1300 slot, and box 4 maybe for the 1500 slot. And the British don't know this until the beginning of each time slot. So basically, the Germans plan their raids, assign them to a date. The British can kind of see roughly what's coming as far as packages, but they don't know what units are in those stacks other than what's on top. And at the beginning, oh, Oops, sorry about that. My camera cut out right while I was explaining. So, so basically, yeah, the German Italians, they planned their raids, and then the British player at the beginning of each day, they'll know whether there's going to be a raid or there's not going to be a raid, and they then have to choose how many of their available squadrons they're going to commit to defend against that raid. But whatever they commit at the end of that scenario, if there is a raid, they come to a recovery box and they have to roll to see if those aircraft can become available for the next raid slot, or if they're stuck recovering. And there's modifiers based on whether they suffered losses for each loss, if the airfield that they're defending was damaged. For every 8 losses in the Allied loss space, you're kind of tracking losses here. So there's some attrition going on, and the Germans are trying to whittle down and keep the Spitfires on the ground and spoof them into committing for just a fighter sweep or something. And so there's some really neat strategy and deep thinking and kind of bluffing your opponent that can happen in this little campaign. I say it's a mini campaign, but it'll take a while to play. It's good. There's a lot in it, and very replayable as well. So that's what you have here with the Malta mini campaign. So if you haven't picked up this little expansion yet, you might want to get your hands on it while it's available. It's a really good one. I'd say this is each expansion, the work going into it seems to be improving. Like the scenario composition, the campaigns. It's becoming more more depth, creativity, and variety in these expansions. So this one is well worth the price, and check it out. Pick it up if you haven't already. This is a good system to invest in, as it's actively supported by the creator, by the designer. Easy to get feedback if you have questions, and it's just going through a lot of revising and becoming a more solid system. Not that the first editions weren't. It's just they were really good, and the second edition for Victories, the new expansions, just bring more and more and more to the package. So a lot of content in this game, and when Legends comes out, it's going to be crazy. The amount of content and aircraft types. So I've seen a lot of people questioning, how are we supposed to fit this in the boxes, and storage solution advice. And so far I've managed to, I'll just kind of show you here how I store my stuff. I managed to store all the Wing Leader content so far in 4 of these GMT trays. I kind of combine them here with the Supremacy and the Victories content. I put all the veteran markers from both games together, the mission types, and there's one of those. And then I use the second tray for kind of content that you use in-game, like the dive climb markers, disruption, losses, stuff that's more common stuff you need to get during the scenario. And then I just have 2 of these for all the squadrons, and I just kind of sort them by aircraft type. I lay them in there this way, kind of putting nationalities together. And this is actually, I need to fix this, but I've got Supremacy counters and Victories and Blitz, Supremacy and Eagles. I've kind of got them just separated by the 2 core systems, but I think I'm going to combine these and put all the Americans together and kind of sort them by type, year. I don't know, maybe others of you have better advice, but as far as, look at all that extra space here. This is easily going to fit Origins and Legends when it comes out. And it all just fits in 4 trays, which easily fits in the Supremacy box. And then I use the Victories box, which is smaller, to put all of the scenario booklets, charts, play aids, and all that. So I can fit everything except for the ADCs, and I need a better solution for these. I'll just show you. For now, I'm just using an index card box, and this seems to fit, but you can see it's getting pretty packed, and it's not going to fit Origins, let alone Legends, so I'm going to maybe have to get a bigger one of these, maybe something thinner and longer so that they're not kind of jumbled in there. But yeah, a lot of ADCs, so I can fit everything easily into the 2 base games, and then just recommend some kind of an index card box sorter for the ADCs. So, well, thanks for taking a look at this, and hope you enjoyed the new content, and hopefully we'll have some new videos for you with some scenario playthroughs, examples of play, and hopefully things will be able to work out to give me some time to do that. So thanks for watching. Have a great day.